Every once in a while, a game comes along that breaks the mold of genres to offer something truly unique. Ball X Pit is one such game, blending ideas into an action puzzler that was first revealed during a Nintendo Direct. And to be honest, that Nintendo Direct probably didn't do enough to show what the game is really about. Now that it's here, I've sunk more hours into Ball X Pit than I care to admit. What's it like? Build your town, fight off hordes of enemies, and grab your balls as we review Ball X Pit for Nintendo Switch. Now, as mentioned, Ball X Pit is a mashup of several genres, but it's probably best described as a brick-breaking game in the style of Arkanoid. You progress through several levels, or pits as they're called, fighting waves of enemies that slowly approach your position. Your weapon of choice is a set of balls that bounce back to you, with the occasional special balls that have abilities like bleed, burn, or area of effect attacks, which help you break through enemy ranks. The story itself is simple. You take on the role of a hero tasked with defending and expanding a small settlement after a mysterious event causes enemies to invade. As you clear the pits and defeat the enemies, you gather resources and recruit new characters, growing your town from humble beginnings with wheat and wood into a thriving hub complete with status-enhancing buildings and upgraded facilities. The combination of combat and settlement management gives the game a satisfying rhythm between intense action and strategic planning, making each run feel like you're making solid progress even if you wipe out early. And wipe out you will. My first hour with Ball X Pit made me wonder what I was missing, because I could barely last a minute or two in the pit before being completely overrun. As it turns out, I was missing a major feature, which was using the right stick to aim where your balls bounce. And upon learning this, the game went from frustrating to fantastic, carefully bouncing balls behind the ranks to inflict some serious damage, before leveling up to add more powerful balls to my arsenal. This upgrade system starts out similar to Vampire Survivors, allowing you to level up an existing ball or add a new one to your arsenal. You can then meld balls to make even more powerful ones, while adding space back in your inventory to allow higher damage output. And the depth of the game became apparent when I figured out that you could have multiple of the same status effects in your repertoire, making me stack lightning and earthquake area of effect attacks to devastate the enemy ranks. Melding certain balls can then be upgraded further in what's called an evolution, and they create an almost super weapon ball, which drastically turns the tide of battle. Even knowing this, RNG played a huge part, and sometimes I would have to retreat to my village with my tail between my legs, hoping the next run would be better. Even then, wiping out was just another opportunity to build a new building from a plan a sub-boss dropped, or a way to level up my selected hero to make them even stronger. Each hero offers different starting balls, shooting styles, and statistics, and since you have to clear the pits multiple times with different characters to unlock gears, experimentation is encouraged, rewarded, and it keeps the gameplay fresh. Beyond the pits, the settlement building aspect adds another layer of strategy and reward. Each run, whether victorious or not, contributes resources and plans that you can use to expand your village. You start off with the basics, like a farm and a forest for wheat and wood, but over time you unlock new buildings that enhance your hero's abilities, generate valuable items, or unlock additional gameplay features. Assigning workers to a different task each turn lets you carefully plant your growth, but that's also done in a bouncing style, so you have to be careful. And it turns the village into a hub that feels alive and directly tied to your success in the pits. Now, this blend of action and management is what gives Ball X Pit that satisfying gameplay loop. The intense, chaotic runs are balanced by a calm, deliberate planning back in the village, and every new structure or upgrade reinforces that sense of progression. Ball X Pit is presented in an almost PS1 themed art style, with heavily pixelated textures and low poly characters and enemies that give it a nostalgic charm. The visual simplicity works in its favour, keeping the action clear even when the pits are full of bouncing balls and swarming enemies. Each pit will introduce fresh elements to challenge the player, from slippery ice floors that make movement tricky, to quicksand traps that slow your progress. And these keep the gameplay varied and unpredictable. Boss designs are a highlight, often resulting in a chaotic siege where precise dodging and smart use of special balls becomes essential. The aesthetic not only makes a game visually distinctive, but it also ensures it runs smoothly even when things get hectic. It's worth noting that a Switch 2 upgrade is in development and is expected to be released this week, at no additional cost to current owners, promising enhanced performance and possibly sharper visuals. Now, all of this action is backed by an atmospheric soundtrack that leans into spooky and eerie tones, and the music sets the mood for each pit without really overwhelming the player or interfering with the intense action. Coupled with the sound effects of bouncy balls, enemy hits and chants, and special abilities, the audio design reinforces both tension and satisfaction, and it makes every run feel dynamic and alive. Now, for my pit nights looking into accessibility options, I'm pleased to report that there are a lot of settings here to make your time with Ball X Pit more enjoyable. These range from changing the pixelated text to sharper, high-resolution text for readability, reducing screen shake, reducing flashing colors, adding a visual hitbox to your character, reducing clutter on screen, being able to change just about any audio source to customize the audio to your liking, as well as slowing the game down without penalty. It's amazing to see a game developed by just one person included such a thoughtful and useful suite of accessibility options. Once again, indies lead the way with accessibility. At just under $23 Australian, Ball X Pit offers a lot of replay value and a lot of great gaming for a budget price. Despite my initial frustrations, I found myself just being pulled into that addictive gameplay loop, and the more fusions and evolutions I discovered helped just push me further through the game. Ball X Pit is one of those rare games that comes along and it subverts both the genre and expectations to deliver a unique and fun experience that features addictive gameplay and replayability. The strategy will slowly reveal itself to you as the player, changing your behavior from damaging everything to planning out a long run. The settlement aspect is fun and enhances your time in the pit. Unlocking and upgrading remains exciting, and with each new character comes an interesting way to play. Ball X Pit is simply fantastic, and I have no trouble highly recommending it to anyone who's looking for the next Balatro. So, what's it like? Ball X Pit is like Arkanoid, crossed with a bit of Tetris and Vampire Survivors. I award it a 90 out of 100. Ball X Pit is a What's It Like certified exceptional game. Thanks so much for watching my video. If you liked it, the best way you can support What's It Like is by liking, subscribing, and sharing it with your friends. For more reviews, click on the thumbnails to the right, and for everything Nintendo, check out whatsitlike.com.au.